Vim team. I'm Haley, and today I'm just going to walk you through some of the strategies, policies, and tools we outlined in our communication strategy. And so I'm just going to start with going through some of that. So the way that we set up our communication strategy is that we set it into three categories. So the first category is what are we trying to accomplish? The next category is how can we get this done? And then the third column is about tools and examples that you as an organization can use to kind of increase your presence on social media. So the first one that we were thinking about doing, the strategy, is posting more consistent on your websites or on your Facebook or whatever media that you are posting at. It's mentioned in the first part of our plan that it'd be great if we could get a website going, whether or not Vim could make that with one of like a free website creation tool like Wix or Weebly, or if maybe there's some volunteers who could do remote work and help make that website for them. So if we want to post more consistently on the website, one of the first things that we can do, how do we answer that how, is we can utilize a program that schedules posts in order to consistently inform the public. So if you don't have time every day to be posting something, you can make time one day a week, and you can go into these free programs and schedule posts that will be posted throughout the week. So through some research, I found that the best free option is something called Hootsuite, where there are some limitations about how many you can post having a free profile, but I still think it's a really good tool and it seems really user friendly. So if we go here and we go to Hootsuite, you make an account, you put in account name, password, all of that. The dashboard looks like this. So you would connect whatever social media you have, whatever platforms you have, and they would pop up here on the sides. And then when you want to actually go to post, you would say that, maybe every Monday at 2 o'clock, we want to have new content. So 2 o'clock, we go here, we say new post, and we would be choosing what network we're doing. So for you, Facebook, and do this, and you can make a few schedules per week. And that way, if you don't have time to dedicate it, you're busy in the field working with these different teams, you don't have to think twice about it. And you can get that done, which is a really helpful tool. So the next strategy that we kind of want to take a look at would be creating a newsletter that's we suggested quarterly because it seems like it might be a realistic option, but if it can't be quarterly, just choose a more realistic time frame. If it's twice a year, once a year, we recommend putting out a newsletter, but keeping it really simple so that it doesn't take a lot of time to do, but helps keep that flow of information between volunteers and churches and Vim as an organization. So we created kind of a template that was really simple, basic, that you could use. That is just something like this, where you could input new photos. You could talk about what you're planning on doing in the future, what volunteers are coming. You could talk about what you did in the past quarter, the different things that were going on, other projects that are happening around you, whether or not Vim's doing it, maybe you're partnering with an organization. But the only thing is, make sure that you have somewhere on your website, on your Facebook, that you could create a sign up link so that people can opt into receiving a newsletter. It's a good option. So one of the next strategies that I want to talk about is utilizing the rule of thirds. So this is a strategy that is used in communications where when posting online for your organization or your business or whatever it is, you use the rule of thirds. So 1/3 of the things that you're going to be posting are things that your organization is doing, things that projects that you've accomplished, just other stuff that maybe volunteers who've come, just things that Vim Guatemala is doing. The second third would be things that are relevant to what Guatemala is doing. So Vim Guatemala is doing. So this might be another organization in Guatemala is doing a similar project that you want to highlight, or maybe another branch of them in a different country, maybe in Nicaragua is doing something that's really cool that you want to highlight as well. And then the third, the different things that you can use to engage with an audience. So maybe it's in the form of a question of the week that people can comment on, or maybe you're asking for feedback about your organization that people can comment on. Maybe you have a survey about anything past volunteers' experiences, or I'm not sure, but you should be posting something that you can engage with the audience and create that conversation with them. And then in general, this is the rule of thirds. And then the next part of that would be when you're thinking about what's an actual realistic amount of time that you should or can dedicate to posting media and content and stuff consistently. Generally, after going through my research, it's recommended between 3 or 4 hours a week to not only be posting content, because if you're using tools like Hootsuite, it's pretty easy, but to be creating that content, because it might take a minute to write a paragraph about what you did this week or make edits or something like that. So generally 3 or 4 hours seems like the most reasonable amount of time to be doing that. So the next tool that we'd be using, or the next strategy that we'd be implementing, is to create and share more content on your social media. So the first thing that Vim should do in our strategies is that we should create an organizational narrative. This is the narrative that's going to tell people what Vim does, what Vim is, how they operate, what they're doing, when somebody doesn't know what the organization does, or maybe they're just hearing about it and they want to learn more. If you have an organization narrative on one of your websites or on your Facebook, somewhere that's easily accessible, then people can read that and be, oh, this is what Vim is all about. So I did model an example of an organization narrative. I chose this from a different organization that is called Educate Girls. They work in India, but I really like how they had organized their narrative. So I kind of took it from there. So for example, established in, and you guys would put in what year Vim was established in. Vim Guatemala is a branch of the international organization, UMVM, et cetera, et cetera. So there are some places that you could edit with things that you think would help give people a better picture of what Vim is and what they do. The next thing would be add a contact us page so that people know this is the way to get in contact if people are interested in working with them or if they have questions. Maybe that's Messenger, but still having a contact us page or something on your Facebook that says, hey, the best way to get in touch with us is on Messenger or something, or an email or something like this. Another option would be to create bios, so a little blurb, a little biography about each of the volunteer or each of the Vim team members, because it would help people understand who is behind this organization, who am I working with, who is running this. It helps build that trust between people, and it helps clearly define roles so that people understand, oh, this is Lulu, she's the director of the organization and she does all this work, and it just becomes more clear. So I'm going to pull up an example for you of what that could look like. And if it's not a bio, you can still do a page like this that says our staff, and you have little pictures and maybe like your role and your name there as well. So people would be like, oh, that's Lulu, that's who I'm communicating with, and she's this. It just helps to kind of build that connection between teams and the organization. Another option, if you want to be increasing transparency between Vim and these churches and teams and whatnot, you can have the option of sharing your strategic plan on the website. This will help hold you guys accountable. It helps create transparency. But if you're not exactly comfortable with sharing the strategic plan, you should definitely be sharing at least the mission and the values, or the vision. And values as well, actually. That sounds like a good idea. But this way, teams have a good idea of like, Okay, Vim, this is what they're trying to accomplish in the world. This is how they see the world. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up another example from the same website. This website is called Mission Guatemala. I think they do a lot of other projects and whatnot. You might have heard of them, you might be working with them, but they seemed, I really like their website. So who we are, mission and vision. So here is the mission statement. We know exactly what Mission Guatemala is doing and what they're trying to accomplish. And then we have what's their vision? What are they looking for? And they list all this different stuff that's like, that's what they're working towards. This is how they see the future, and this is the future they're trying to accomplish. So I think it would be a really great idea if Vim was also able to do that as well. You can create case studies of past projects. This is going to help people understand, this is what they did in the past. Here's an example of a project they're doing. You can post current updates. That could be part of your rule of thirds, the work that Vim is doing. So that we help different volunteers, different mission teams would understand, oh, this is what they're currently doing. Wow, we'd love to get involved with that. Another example, you can be publishing volunteer testimonies. So maybe you have a team come, and one of the things you ask of the team is that when it's over, somebody writes a little blurb about their experience that you can share on your website or on your Facebook, so that people who are thinking about volunteering can look at that and be like, oh, wow, this other team, this church in North Carolina did all this great stuff and they had such a good time. Our church in Tennessee wants to go and do all this stuff as well. You can also have a page or access to a link that would give funding options so that people might be able to donate or help support them in their different projects, even if they're not able to come down on a mission trip. I think that would be especially helpful now, considering that a lot of mission trips aren't able to come given the circumstances with the virus and these different travel restrictions for the time being. And then another option is to have a frequently asked question page. So before people even need to contact them, and if they have a question about what are different projects that Vim does, frequently asked questions, different projects, here you are. Or maybe you have a question like, how many people can come on a mission trip to Guatemala and work with Vim? Oh, here's the information for that. What can we expect from a mission trip with Vim? Here's what you can expect. Just things that questions you get frequently or that people are curious about, you can have a page that people can just go to and get a better idea as well. So that is our communication plan, just a few strategies to get you started. We made it for like a year time. It's something that you guys can edit and adapt when you want to be changing your strategy, or maybe you have a new website and you want different strategies for that website. A lot of this information I got just through researching different strategies by going through examples of good websites from different organizations that are working in Guatemala. And I think that it would be really helpful for Vim to implement as a way to help them accomplish a lot of the goals that we've outlined in our strategic plan. Thank you so much.